Sunday, the 1st of September, I am in Liverpool doing a full training day. It's £11 a ticket, 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. Now on that day, you are going to get all of my blueprints, all of my secrets, everything that I have done over the last decade to get me to where I am today. I will show you, teach you how to start or how to go to that next level in your property journey. Now you guys probably watch this channel occasionally and you see what I do. You see that I do BRRs, flips, project management, deal sourcing, auctions, commercial to residential, flat conversions, HMOs. All of these I have built my knowledge over a decade. So what I can give you, there's no price for the knowledge that I can actually share. So come down to Liverpool on the 1st of September, see if I am as good as I say I actually am. See if I can help change your life. See if I can give you the knowledge to put you on that path to financial freedom, the generational wealth, replace your income, get out of your 9 till 5. For £11, you have nothing to lose. Liverpool is one of my favourite places to be. Just come and join me.
Hi guys, so I bet you're used to seeing Steve's face on his channel, but today you've got all of us. We're going to be taking you through project management step by step, the A to Z, what goes on when you're a project manager, and we'll kind of run you through the pros and cons of why you might use a project manager to do your refurb.
We think it's very important because if you just put a bunch of contractors together by himself, it can get very messy. So we want to make sure you know the ins and outs of it, the stages, make sure it's all put together properly so you can look at it for anything when you do it yourself.
It's funny how the video came about. So we actually had a challenge at the university. It was whoever come up with the best video, we would get a day with C and go around doing a video. And this is what we're doing. So I hope you enjoy.
Hi, I'm Jess.
Hi everybody, my name's Jack Field.
Hiya, my name's Dion.
So my name's Sam.
My name's Jake.
So my name's Owen.
My name's Wes.
My name is Mark.
I've been part of TPC for about 6 months now.
I've been on TPC around 5 months, I think it is now.
I've been a Property Circle member for 5 months now.
I've been a TPC member since April.
I'm a member of the circle now probably about 3 months.
So, key collection, straight into the property. First things you should do is isolate the gas, isolate the water, isolate the electric, and start the strip out if you're going back to brick. Okay, what do you think of that? Did you know that or did you not know that?
Yeah.
Okay, is there any questions you want about strip out answered or anything you want to add?
I think it's obviously there's 2 types of strip outs. It would depend on the condition of the property to what level you're going to do it. That's more if you come in and all the walls are in good condition, you then look to take all the wallpaper off and skim the property. But if you was to come in and all the walls was basically crumbling, and you can basically tell by just touching it, feeling the wall, seeing how it feels. And if it was to be like that, then you need to factor in that it needs to go back to brick.
So explain skimming for the people who don't understand what skimming is.
So basically, before this was ripped off, there was 4 layers. So you've got the lats, the plasterboards, the plaster, and then obviously the paint. So pretty much when their property needs skimming, the walls are already in good condition and they basically just come over all of it just to make sure it's flat and smooth. So then the painters, when they go over it, obviously it's easy to work to. Otherwise, you just have an uneven surface.
So one thing you can do to make sure that the plaster is good and it's smooth and you've had a good contractor in is doing a mist coat. So that's where the painter will do like a light coat of paint and you can see any bumps in the wall, anything that might have been messed up a little bit. Another thing about a strip out that's so important is waste. So when you do a strip out, there's so much waste. I think people underestimate how much actually is in a property. So you need to make sure that you either have a skip ready before you start the strip out or you have a waste collection company ready to come and collect all the waste that you generate from stripping out the property.
And also, when you're on a main road like this, you might need a permit. So the skip company will sort a permit out from the council for you to have the skip on the main road, but it might take an extra few days in order for it to come.
So this property is going to be a 4-bed HMO. So as you can see, this is what was the kitchen. So there was paneling up here. The sink was around here. All the kitchen cabinets, they've all been ripped out, gone completely back to brick on this one.
Yeah, as you can see as well, this is quite low. So what they're going to be doing here, they're going to be pushing it up. So obviously the ceiling's at a decent height where someone can actually walk through it. So that's another thing to add to this. Yep. They're trying to make it so it's quite open plan. So if we go into here, so as you can see, they're going to have to take this chimney breast out so they can add that extra bit of space. And it's the same in this room as well.
Yeah, so here there'll be a stud wall
Yeah.
with a fire door there.
Mm-hmm.
That chimney breast will go out. Another stud wall there with a fire door, chimney breast will go out in there as well.
Yeah.
That'll create 2 bedrooms downstairs.
And is that space in the back big enough for the communal area?
Yes, communal and kitchen.
Okay.
And then we're also going to add a downstairs toilet
Under the stairs?
under the stairs, but we're going to move it over a little bit. So where the back door is right now, that's going to be replaced as a brick wall. And then where the window is, that'll be French doors.
Okay.
And then we're thinking about having en suites in each room as well.
And how big are the en-suites? Like 2 to 2.2?
2 by 2, maybe 2 by 3, depending on what it's like once I get the stud wall up and I can just lay it out to see.
Yeah. And what's the minimum room size requirement in this
I
area?
think the minimum room size requirement is 6.5 square metres.
Yeah.
But these are touching about 10, 11.
Yeah.
So we're in good shape.
Because
But
obviously
again,
it varies per area.
Of course it does. Well, they're kind of much of a muchness, but your architect is the person that can give you the answers to make sure that you can get it right.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to do it yourself.
So one major key cost that you need to factor in when you're pricing up a refurb is replacing windows, front doors, back doors. So for a 2-bed terrace conversion into a 4-bed HMO, you're looking at around £6,000 as a package deal for the windows and the doors. You obviously want a PVC door and making sure that it's a good front door. As you can see with this, they might get rid of the porch, they might replace the front door. It's just obviously up to the developer themselves.
So you've seen stage 1, now we're at stage 2. The strip out's been done. We've got the architects have been in, they've done the drawings. We've got 2 separate options here for downstairs and 3 for upstairs. It's important to have your architect's drawings on site so that the contractors know exactly what they need to do.
Yeah, so it's really important because when contractors come in, the drawings need to be clear. If the contractors don't understand what they're doing or it's not the final drawings, then there's no clear instruction for them to go off. So then, for example, like the electricians and the plumbers, they need to see where the mechanical and electrical services are going to be running. So you've got your drawings for that. So an example would be knowing where the downlights are going to go, or in like a kitchen, they need to know where the switches are going to be. And so it's really important that the drawings are clear. And that's why it's important to get your architect in, do the drawings right, and give clear instructions for your subcontractors.
I think one of the things that I will touch upon is working drawings. So those aren't working drawings. So the working drawings where it shows you where every spotlight is, every plug socket will be, every light switch will be. You can even go into having a detailed working drawings when it comes to extensions and lofts, etc., what insulation you're going to use, what timber you're going to use. There's so many different things when it comes onto certain levels of working drawings, but everything they've said so far is spot on.
So Steve, obviously, we know we need a good architect to do the drawings. How do you choose which architect you're going to use on each project?
So I was given an architect about 9 years ago when I first needed one. And the one that I started with started doing 2-bedroom terrace houses. And what happens is you use word of mouth to start with. And even when you're a bit more experienced, word of mouth is still the best form of advertising and getting people through the door. But as your journey continues and you start getting into bigger projects, architects just evolve. So an architect will say, well, that's a little bit out of my remit. I don't do that, but I've got someone who does it for you. And then it's a knock-on effect. They give you the next level, then they give you the next level, then they give you the next level. And the easiest way for you guys to find an architect would be to use mine in the property circle, or just get some recommendations from people. Or even better than that, go on the portal, look at what planning's been passed in the last 6 to 9 months, and just make a list of all the architects that have submitted the planning and then contact them. And that's the easiest way to find them.
So after a strip out and you've had your architects come in, you've had the drawings and you've started works, that's when reconfiguration comes into play. So that's adding stud partitions like this. So this is going to be a downstairs toilet. It's really, really vital to get these done at this stage so that you can kind of see the space, you can make sure that everything works. And then the next stage after that is obviously boarding and plastering. So yeah. Very, very vital stage after the strip out is reconfiguration.
So never seen first fix electrics before. Do you mind just running us through?
No, of course not. So you are in the first stage, obviously first fix, like you said correctly. So if you look around the property, you can see all of the grey cable. Now, this comes on rolls, and depending on the size of the property, You know, you could be 150, 200, 250 metres of cable in something like this. We don't know the exact amount. I can get the contractor to tell us, but we would roughly be looking between 150, 250. You know this because you know how to do things like this. So where you can see the cables drop down, that's where all the spotlights will be, okay? And then these are all the plug sockets. So they're light switches, plug sockets down there. You can see them stretched out around the whole of the property. And first fix will probably take you about 3 days to get correct. They work off the drawings. They know where everything's going to go. They know the consumer unit will be where it needs to be, so they run all the main wires back into there. The consumer unit is your fuse board. So if you remember in your house, you will have a metal box that opens up. It'll have the name of all the rooms, all the light switches, light sockets, heaters, kitchen, oven, hob and stuff. And it's the things with the fuses that trip.
Okay.
So they'll all run there. So you can see all the wires are bunched over there. And yeah, this is first fix. So what people don't know, there's first fix and second fix. That's what most people think. There actually is a third fix. So the first fix is what you're seeing now. The second fix is when all the plastering's been done and the mist coat has been applied. They will come and put all the coverings on everything. They'll attach all the spotlights. And then before it gets the final coat, everything then is removed again. And then they have a final coat, and the electrician will come back a third time and put them all back on again to make sure they're all in the right place. So most people think that electrics is first and second fix, but anyone that does it correctly, we do have a third fix as well.
Okay.
Another property, this time I am with Wes, okay? So Wes, what's the topic here?
Plastering.
Okay, what do you want to ask me about plastering? What do you know about plastering? And give them some information.
So I want to know like the difference between the level of plastering you need from a back to brick refurb compared to just like skimming over.
Okay.
Like, what are the key things you need to look for?
Okay, so age of property comes into account. So different type of properties will have different things on top of the existing walls. So you might get some really old Artex. So you might have to pull it down instead of plastering over. You can get some really old wallpaper that has been painted like 20 times. So when you try and peel it off, it peels the existing plaster off, which means you might have to go back to brick. You might get a really good condition property where you can just skim, which is just add a new layer of plaster over the walls to get this type of finish. So it's all down to the age and also the severity of the walls when they are peeled back.
When you're skimming it, how long do you have to leave it to like dry?
Okay, so skimming usually takes 3 to 5 days to dry, but temperature dependent. So if we're in the winter and it's freezing cold, there's usually no heating because obviously it's back to brick, so there's no central heating in the place. So people will buy heaters to try and dry it out quicker, but usually 3 to 5 days. But if, like I said, winter time, it can be anything up to 2 weeks. As you can see, this is a freshly plastered wall. This is a freshly plastered room and ceiling. Now, what's on this wall right now is a mist coat. Now, this mist coat here is a watered down version of paint. Basically, it's paint, water, put into a spray canister, and then sprayed on all the walls, all the skirting, all the architraves. Some people spray it on the internal doors if you want to change the colour. But the reason for a mist coat, it gives a base coat for the plaster, so the plaster absorbs it, it dries into it for when you're doing your final decorations, and it shows all of the imperfections on a wall. So if a wall hasn't been plastered to a 10 out of 10 standard, then a decorator can come in and they can sand it down and they can get it to the finish they need to get it to once they've got the mist coat on, because they can see the imperfections. So we have steels. These protruding boxes are actually steels encased in plasterboard. Who can tell me the difference between plasterboards?
So there's 4 different types of plasterboard. You've got standard plasterboard, fireproof plasterboard, moisture resistant and soundproof plasterboard. You can tell the difference between colours. There's grey, pink, blue and green. Anything steel wise has to be fire protected, so the fireboards have 30-minute fire protection, so you have to fire alarm all your steels to meet building regs.
Is there another way of doing it if you don't want to put pink fireboards around the steel?
You can paint them.
Okay. Can you double board and plaster?
With normal boards?
Yeah,
of course, yeah.
Okay. So there is different ways that different contractors do things, and building inspectors will advise you on certain things, But the key to it is you pick up knowledge as you go along. It's not something that you need to know every single thing from the beginning. Every time you go into new projects, you've got your architects, you've got your structural engineers, you've got your contracts. Soak up as much advice as you can. And he's just told you 4 different plasterboards. I bet only half of you knew that, and I bet the rest of you only thought there was 2. You need to know about permitted development, full planning, what you can do under permitted development, and what happens to permitted development in Article 4 areas.
You need to apply for planning. You don't have permitted development in Article 4. That takes away, basically, you're right. But there is different types of Article 4. There's like Article 4 for HMOs, but there's Article 4 for like conservation areas and stuff like that. So when you're doing property development, you need to think about the end user. You always need to have them in mind. So Steve, this is going to be a family home.
Yes.
So they've created like a large open plan kitchen diner with a huge skylight above it. So this is a 6 metre extension under PD.
Yes, it is.
So quick question. So I've always thought that it was up to 3 metres under PD.
No. So, yeah, misconception. So you need something called neighbours consult. Okay. And depending on the line of sight from next door, as long as you're not trying to go the full width, 90% of the time you're okay. So 3 metres for a semi-detached or a terraced is allowed under permitted development. 6 metres if you go under neighbour consult. If you're in a detached, you can go up to 4 metres just under permitted development, but you can also go to 8 under neighbour consult. So it's all about line of sight.
And it's about having a good architect as well.
Yeah, you need to know, because an architect will tell you whether you're going to get it or not before it starts, but PD means permitted development, so you should be okay. And also, the length of the house. You can only go to the width of the length of the house that's built. So, you know the garages that are on the side? If that was built afterwards, you can't just go under PD, it has to be the
length of the original.
Of what it is, the original,
So this obviously adds massive value to the property.
Okay, so now we're at the property where the second fix is pretty much done. So we've got all the electrics are now, final pieces are now on, so like the plugs, the spotlights are now in, things like the doors are hung once the architrave's on. It's now ready for decorating. And as Steve mentioned in the last one, the third fix, so obviously we'll be taking all the fixings off the wall, so when the decorators come in to paint, nothing's going to look terrible. And it's going to look perfect once it's done.
So another thing that we do on the second fix is all the radiators get hung on the walls. So that's the plumber will come in and do that. As Jake said, skirting boards, architraves, all the lights, all the socket frontals. That's pretty much it for the second fix. This stage usually indicates you're somewhere near finishing. You can usually push for a pretty quick completion date once you've got that second fix finished. So like we touched on in the other property, these drawings are actually the full detailed working drawings. So on these drawings, it literally goes into extreme detail onto where everything needs to be and how it needs to be done. Having these drawings on site are very important, because if a contractor does something wrong, you can say to them, look, you come back to it and say, look, it's here in black and white, this is what you should have done. And obviously it covers your back, and it just means you've got all bases covered to make sure that your project's going as smooth as possible.
Yeah, I think something to mention as well on these final drawings is that yes, they've got these details in, but you actually have measurements. So, for example, 12.5mm thick plasterboard, skin finish, it gives the contractors an actual clear instruction, the materials they need, what they're ordering. And then this list here is like a general notes. So any other extra information that the contractors might need, it's really important to have all that. You can see the difference in instructions on here compared to the previous drawings in the last property.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about the painting and decorating of the property. Now, some people underestimate the painting, but it's a very crucial part of the development, because this can make or break the sale of the property, really. Generally, it's best if you keep the property neutral, as in just a plain white color. So that way, when the buyer comes in, then it gives them option. So they can decide what they want to go where, and they can vision themselves in the property. So so it's best to keep it neutral so that they've got some options.
Neutral is the best way forward to sell anything, because let's just imagine that this wall behind us was painted red or a green or even a blue. If you've got 10 people walk through that front door to buy or to rent, they're going to make an observation, go, I don't like red, I don't like blue, I don't like green. But with a white wall, they'll walk in and go, oh, imagine if I painted that wall my favourite colour, that'd be a great feature. So it's like a psychology type of thing. Everything he said was spot on. And also a decorator, the person who actually decorates the property. They're the ones that bring it to life. They're the ones that give it that 10 out of 10 finish. It's so important to invest in a good decorator. It's the part where everybody lets themselves down because they rush it to get it finished. They don't understand the importance of a decorator. So once the property is at this level where the keys are going to be handed back imminently, it's time for you to snag. That means go around the property, find all the things that are incorrect, imperfections, things that you're not happy with that the contractor's done, and it normally determines the final payment. So what are some of the things that you guys think that you should really check when you're going to do a snag on a property?
You want to check that like the workmanship's to a high standard. So obviously when you're going for your refinance, you get the value you want. Like operations of the doors, stuff like that. The painting.
Don't overlook the simple things like just like leaving a bit of paint on the windows, a bit of plastic trim that might need replacing. Also going around them, because once you do a renovation like this, there can be slight movement in the walls. Make sure there's no cracks have appeared, beforehand.
Opening and closing, like all the cupboards in the kitchen, just making sure that they are all working correctly. Make sure the gas is working, run the water, make sure there's no leaks, run the bath, fill it up, empty it, put the central heating on, open all the doors, open all the windows, close them all. It's all of the simple things that you overlook. They're the things you want to check, because that final payment and then trying to get a builder to come back after you've made that final payment can be quite difficult. So snagging, super important. Jess, we're at the final stages now of this video. So the one before the sale is the staging, which is something I've done in this property, and you've walked around and you had a look. What do you think the importance of staging is? Why? The cost, is it something that you would actually recommend to people? And how do you find a good stager?
Okay, so I think it's so important to stage a property, especially if you're looking to sell, just because people can come into a house and they can look at the finish of the property, they can look at how well the kitchen's fitted, the walls and everything, but a lot of people they're not as creative as property developers are and have to be for their job. So staging a property gives people the sense, even if it's not the furniture that's in the property when they buy it, they can see how they can arrange their own furniture. They can just have that extra help in envisioning what it will look like once they move in. And it really helps with the sale because it makes it a lot smoother. People can come in and just see this and be like, yeah, I want it.
The cost of it, because it's not cheap.
No, it's not cheap.
So where would you, if someone had a £150,000 2-bedroom terrace for sale, the profit margin was 10% on that, staging was £3,000. Is it worth it then, or? No.
It's not worth it. It's worth it on the bigger properties, the properties like this one that you spent that extra money trying to get it to the top level, which also then equals the higher end value. So staging a property like this is so good for it. And I think if it fits in the budget and it doesn't affect your profit margin, then definitely go for it. And also finding a good stager can be hard. So when you find a good one, keep hold of them, but you can look on social media. And like Steve says, success leaves clues. If they've done it before and you can see how good they're doing it, then you want them on your power team.
So when selling the property, it's very important to think about the end user. So with this as an example, you chose to have a big bathroom rather than an extra bedroom. Why was it that you did that?
Because it was originally going to be a 5-bedroom, 1 bathroom with a downstairs toilet. And then when you think about end users, let's say it was 2 adults and 3 children in the size of this, 1 bathroom just does not cut it. So we sacrificed a bedroom in order to have a bigger bathroom and 2 en-suites. So now we have 3 bathrooms technically and the downstairs toilet. We go into it as developers first. So what can we do to this property to add value and make the most amount of money? That's the key. And then it's how do we make sure that the end user buys it or rents it immediately from coming once? Because what you want them to do is drive home going, that's my dream home, or that's where I want to live. You don't want people driving home after they've viewed your property going, I didn't like the colour of that wall. What about this? What about that? So if you can kind of tick as many boxes, your job's half done.
So guys, there we have it. That's the end of the video. We hope we've given everyone the blueprint and the step-by-step guide of how to do either your first development or if you're going to project manage someone else's development. I think the main thing you need on a big project is good project management. Without the project management of managing every single step like we've showed you today, things can go wrong and it ends up costing you a lot of money. So you either need to get good at project management or hire a good project manager.
My key takeaways from today is that it is so important to have someone who knows what they're doing. If you're doing a development, the worst thing that could happen is you go in there and lose all your money. If you have someone in place who knows every single thing that we've covered from A to Z in project management, and they know the mistakes that could go wrong, and they can eliminate that, that is so key.
So my biggest key takeaway from today is that to be successful within property, you have to get the right education to start with. So all the guys here today, they've all took action to get educated, and now, as you can see from the knowledge we've given this video, we all know exactly what to do when it comes to a project.
I'd say it's good to actually bring a lot of people to come and have a look about what you're doing, because everybody's from different industries and everybody has different ideas. So it's good to communicate with others so you can brainstorm.
There's so many stages, and I think today's just shown me how many stages there actually is. Obviously, when you get taught, usually there's only like a brief overview of what there is entailing in these projects, but there's actually quite a lot to it.
So key takeaway from today, I would say, is the importance of getting the right people in for the right stages. You can actually see the different stages have their own details, and I think it's just really important to get the right people in for the right jobs.
Obviously, going around properties and seeing them at different stages is always beneficial, because you get to visualise and encapsulate yourself in how property goes. So being able to ask obviously questions along the process fills my mind with much more knowledge, so I'm ready to go and learn some more about project management. So.
Choosing your contractors correctly, and obviously viewing the site and keeping up to date with how the projects are going, because they can easily start, slipping and doing stuff that you haven't asked them to do, which then causes massive problems when you have to put them right with different contractors, etc.
I've learned a lot today. Obviously, going through the different stages, and acting in the capacity of a project manager, I think it's giving you a bigger picture of what it takes to bring a property from ground up, really to the point where it's staging for it to be sold.
So there you have it, a video that was made up by all members of my university, and they put it all into sections. They kind of directed it with Edwin behind the camera today, and you've just heard their key takeaways. But my key takeaway from this video is that the guys who are in this video today, I've been around them a while, and it's really impressive to see how their knowledge has grown over the last few months, and some of the things that they're talking about now, they weren't necessarily talking about when I first met them. So it shows that people do listen. The correct education is key. People who want to learn will learn, and 99% of the people out there are lazy, who actually don't want to do anything, and then they blame everybody else because they're not getting anywhere in life. Well, the people that I have around me, like these guys today, they clearly want to get somewhere and they clearly want to win because they're paying attention. So a great day, a Sunday well spent, and it's going to be interesting to assess where each and every one of them are in the next 12 months.